Hey, thanks for checking out another episode here. Scotty at the Hustle and Grind podcast. Next episode, you're not going to want to miss it. We've got Lily Seed, LS Anti-Aging. She's a beauty consultant. Talk a little about skincare, some things that you may not necessarily know. Ladies, this one will be for you. And surprisingly, fellas, you're going to learn a few things about some skincare yourself. We talk about bringing value to your clients and genuinely learning more. You know, we've talked about being a lifelong learner for some time. Anyway, check it out. You won't be disappointed. We're coming at you.
Welcome, Lily Seed, to the podcast. Super excited to have you on. Great to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you too.
Yeah, and we've known each other for several years now.
Yes.
I'm really excited to have you on and have these conversations, I guess, that typically we don't get a chance to have. There's so much that I always learn from you in our meetings, you know, helping you with your marketing and that sort of thing. And I just think you're going to add so much value to our listeners in terms of your experience running business, being an expert in your industry of health and beauty and anti-aging, and just really excited to get into this with you. So welcome to our podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. So why don't we start in, with yourself, how you started in business. A lot of our listeners may want to actually get into the industry of health and beauty. I mean, what a large industry, that can almost be overwhelming. I mean, and me not really understanding or knowing, but it seems that it's oversaturated. It seems like the health and beauty industry, and not to disparage that industry at all, but it just seems there's so much. I mean, I go to Shoppers Drug Mart with my daughter who's in grade 10, and I am overwhelmed with the amount of skin creams and things like that. And I'm just thinking, maybe I need to get into this business and industry. Now that's product based, but can you tell us a little bit about how you started, why you started in the health and beauty industry?
Okay. Still have to push back to when I was in Taiwan, originally from Taiwan.
Yeah.
And I was a TV producer. And the program I was producing was involved with health. So lots of interviews with the doctors, and we do drama and a documentary. So I did lots auditions with actors, and during the auditions, I found some people have lots of talents, but they have terrible skin.
Interesting.
Talented, but terrible skin.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to send them to the spa or to the dermatologist to get their skin, cannot say fix to correct some of the issues they have.
Mm-hmm.
So then I say, that's a very interesting industry. I want to know a little bit deeper. Mm-hmm. And when I moved to Canada, and when my son in the high school, I said, I have to do something for myself. So I went to the aesthetics school in London and started to learn about skincare and more knowledge about the product and the skincare. So after graduate, and I started business.
So anti-aging is probably, these days more than anything, longevity, anti-aging. What does anti-aging mean to you? Obviously, it's going to be connected to skin care, I'm guessing, right? Because, my wife gives me all the gears about me squinting. Don't squint. Don't look at your forehead. Right.
Yeah.
And I've never done Botox. I don't really plan on doing Botox.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think men. Well, this may not be true, but at least myself, I don't really think too much about the wrinkles on my forehead. I think my wife probably does more than I do. So, what's anti-aging to you, and how does that connect to skincare, and what are your thoughts there?
Yeah. Lots of people think anti-aging is about skincare. Not necessary. Mm-hmm. Anti-aging is not just about the skin deep of the lotion potions or, Botox, derma filler. Anti-aging is is lifestyle.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah,
I really
lifestyle,
like that.
because that's your job and your stress level, and in kind of related to your emotion, and your diet, your activities, and medication you take, and climate of your living environment.
Okay.
They all related.
So kind of a more holistic approach.
Yes.
That,
Yes.
it's not just creams and that. It's like, and I have heard, I'm so glad you went here because I've heard you talk about this, and I know you get very passionate about this, and you know so much about lifestyle. And
Yes.
I think it's underestimated where we just think you can go and buy a really expensive cream and fix all the years of, sun damage or whatever, but it really needs to start early with a lifestyle, with an intentionality, I guess, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So you said lotion potion. So what do you mean by lotion potion? Is that
Lots of
because
people, just like Ryan talk about, right? You go to the drugstore, you go to the department store, when the counter, you get the stuff you want, but not necessarily like that though, because they just fix the surface, and you have to really fix the cause. What caused your skin conditions, right?
Well, it's so often we're almost trying to turn the clock back and fix a lot of the, I guess, I don't know. I'm sitting here thinking of, maybe it's a knowledge base that we just don't have enough knowledge that you clearly bring, Lily, of just kind of understanding, really what is happening to your skin as you go through life and as different ages.
Yes.
I love how Scott talked about as guys, and I really want to explore this too. I don't think we talk about this enough. I think it's cool to talk about, especially I'm noticing too as I get a bit older and that sort of thing. I am noticing more, and I am starting to care a lot more about how I look and my skin. And I don't know who to go to. I'm not going to go to my buddies and have a beer and talk about skincare, right?
Yeah,
I'm toast. I'm going to get made fun of or laughed right out of the. So I guess it's like these. I think there needs to be more of a safe space for maybe guys to have these conversations. And I'm curious about what your thoughts are on that. Have you seen a lot more males entering into the space, caring more about this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
More and more male.
More.
Yeah, more and more. And they are more open-minded towards the aesthetics treatment.
So the stigma isn't as strong as maybe what it used to be. Like when you first started in the business, mostly women back then.
Yes, mostly women. Yeah.
Mostly women. So how do you manage clients the same way, men or women, or is there a unique approach now that there's more men coming into the world compared to earlier in your career when it was mostly women?
That's a good
To
question.
men need simple steps.
Yeah. Hey,
Quick and
Men
easy.
just need
bring
quick
it
and
on.
easy.
We're here to get all the free advice we can.
Yes. I did a skin analysis, and to see most men, they believe just, okay, I shave, then I don't need to wash my face. I just take a shower, shave me, then I don't need a cleanser.
Yeah,
right?
I don't cleanse my face.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I deal with.
If my
lots of
skin
men.
feels dry, I put on lotion.
Right.
That's my skincare routine.
But what you're saying, Lily, is there should be a process that we follow as guys. I mean, my wife has beautiful skin, and she spends a lot of time, and she's got cream. There's creams in our bathroom. I don't know what this is for or whatever, but she has a system and a process, and it works for her. Like Scott said, I don't. You shave and you move on.
And if I had to get into the routine that my wife has for my skin, that's why I don't have one, because I have done a face mask with her once, like on occasion, where she's just like, "Hey, do this." I'm like, "All right, whatever." Right? I can give that a whirl.
Yeah.
But it's not probably a part of the routine for me anyway.
Actually, the sometimes people got buried by all these infomercials.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Layers, unnecessary products. So even myself, my skincare routine is very, very simple, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, myself, I just like the cleansing and treat it and then protect it.
Oh, okay.
Treat it just the morning I use the vitamin C, combination of vitamin C and vitamin E, and then sunscreen. That's it.
Sunscreen.
Yes, sunscreen key thing.
My wife is big on sunscreen for sure.
Yeah.
But sunscreen not just in the summer all the time.
No.
That's part of your.
Every single day.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
I would never have thought of that. And is that because, we're constantly inundated by, the screen rays, and even in
Screen rays?
I don't know.
Is that a thing?
Or blue or sorry.
Blue light.
Blue light.
Yeah,
Screen
blue
rays.
light. Yeah.
Screen rays.
We're learning.
Alex, edit
Blue
out
light,
screen
yeah.
rays for me, please. Blue light. Yeah. Screen rays.
Actually,
Jesus.
now the have new discovery is like even the blue light actually can cause the photo damage to your skin.
Really?
So even
Not
the
your eye, not
the
just your eyes?
sunscreen, regular sunscreen won't filter out the blue lights. You have to with the ingredients is called iron oxide.
Okay.
Iron oxide can
Block the
screen out.
Blu-ray or the
Yes,
blue
can
light.
block that.
Yeah, interesting. So perhaps, that's something just people don't know. Again, that knowledge, that educating people on, hey, use sunscreen as part of your process.
Routine.
Your
Yeah,
routine.
part of routine.
Yeah, and that will lead to just a healthier looking skin in the long term, right? I mean, I think it's hard, right? Because you don't. At least myself, I'm young, going to Grand Bend, going to Port Stanley, playing beach volleyball, all this stuff. I'm not thinking, hey, when I'm 45, what's my skin going to look like, right? So, at what point should people start thinking about these things? And,
Now.
Yeah, now. Like it's
actually.
never right. Yeah, it's never too.
Yeah, never too late.
Too late or too early to. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Interesting.
baby after 6 months, you can start apply the sunscreen.
Good to know.
And for adults, every single day. It doesn't matter, rainy day, rainy, sunny, the winter, winter, summer, spring, fall.
Yeah.
Every single day. Lots of people think you sit inside the house, you don't need sunscreen. No, all the windows. Windows, you get, because UV rays can penetrate through the windows, through the water, through the clouds.
Oh my God.
So it's why.
Yeah.
And now plus,
Yeah. The screen rays.
yeah,
Phone
the
doesn't-
screen rays. That's the name though, actually. Yeah.
This is great. I'd like to go back to when you mentioned how you really got interested in this industry. You were in video production, and you saw that a lot of the actors and people were not taking care of their skin. So you immediately saw a need for something, and you went into business. You took the initial steps. Entrepreneurship, was this ever a thing that you thought you would be? Did you? What had you envisioned? Because we'll talk about your journey as an entrepreneur and business owner, very successful, and the things that you've done in the industry and how you're so evolved. Was this something you had thought of, entrepreneurship and being a business owner?
Yes. Yes. Because while in the business, I was kind of older, in my 40s. So I cannot really compare with myself with like a 20s and the 30s, right? So I said something we have to do, to look after my generations. And myself, I don't want to look fake. I don't want people to look at me and say, okay, you got something done.
Right.
So the base, I just, and when I do things like that, I go deep. go deep. So it's why I say, okay, we have to work with, from the bottom to the top.
So where did you start? How did you begin then? If you go deep and you want to start from the bottom, what did that look like?
Start talk to friends.
Oh,
Have discussion with friends. What do you think? I just found lots of people don't know how to use the product, even how to look after their skin, their kids' skin. So that's give me some focus, right? Okay, some almost some subject to find answers. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, totally. I love that because, you really took the necessary steps. You went to school, you saw a need for this, you talked to friends. I think often, and speaking for myself, and Scott knows this, I jump into things without really even getting the feedback of colleagues, friends, people smarter than me, if this is a good idea or not, and exploring that. So that's really great to hear that was part of this step. Now, I know you, and I know you're very methodical in that way, and it doesn't surprise me to hear that. But did that help you in actually forming and creating a foundation for your business as a spa owner? How did that come to fruition? How did you actually physically start your brick and mortar business and think that this is going to work?
First, really, when I started spa, actually start with idea maybe just skincare and the facials, right? And then I realized, no, something just from the aesthetic school is not enough. It's not enough. So when 2008, I discovered this group is called A4M. It's the American Anti-Aging Medicine Academy.
Right.
So I started be a active member since then, and I attend the conference in Vegas every year. That's big eye-opening. You meet the best specialists around the world all get together in that 3 days.
Huh.
Pretty open.
Like a different, just not just skincare.
Yeah.
You talk about everything.
The holistic approach
holistic
that we talked
approach,
about.
even mental health.
Oh,
Right.
Wow.
Yes.
So we, at least for me, when we're sharing some of these stories and learning about our guests, I try to think about how or what pieces we can kind of take away to help a listener in their journey. And it's kind of come up again a couple of times, and you just mentioned it. You went to Vegas to this conference.
Yes.
Right? You which might have cost you more money than you would probably want to invest on attending. Maybe it's a little scary to think about, but in order to learn more about the business that you're in, you went and found some of the best of the best.
Yes.
You went and networked with folks in Vegas. Now, maybe you got some stories to share that in Vegas, but they do say what happens in Vegas stays there. So maybe not.
While walking to Vegas, that you just stay in the hotel, the conference held at, and while walking there, I don't leave until the conference finished. So my Vegas trip was very boring.
Oh, that is very
I
boring.
know.
Come on,
I
Lily.
know.
We're looking for some.
Hey, I applaud your discipline.
Lots of slot machine though.
Fair.
Yeah, I guess you can find a slot machine
Yes.
anywhere in that place. But
Yes.
But you surrounded yourself with those experts, right?
Yes.
And you're able to take some of what you learned back to your business. So was there, in that first conference, obviously you must have enjoyed it and learned enough to bring you back again, because you've been going now annually, basically
Yes.
since 2008.
Other than the years with COVID. With COVID we
So in that first one, what was it that spoke to you that said, I got to come back again next year?
It's first, I'm not going to deny that it's very overwhelming first.
right.
because you deal with all the best, the physicians, specialists in the world, right? Just like just by write a note, my hand almost feel like my wrist is going to, be paralyzed. So, and just make you more humble, more focused. Because I realized, even I was majored in lab information science, I just feel like, oh my God, the knowledge in this business is so broad.
And
it's amazing.
And I think that's, especially in this particular field, it's crowded, right? And there's a lot of people will tell you, business school, if you will, find a gap, find a need that's not being addressed or not being, catered to. But I feel like this industry specifically is so broad that like almost everything is probably covered somewhere. So how do you just push through that and say, no, I've got something myself to bring to the table here that is going to allow me to separate from the pack, and I can bring some value, because it is a crowded space, whether it's on the product side, the service side, the combination of both. There's no shortage of it. So how do you push through to take that step and to keep marching? Like we're in 2024. That first conference is a long time ago.
Yeah, it's very challenging, actually. Every time you go there, you learn something new. You know what I mean? Even I remember back then, when was that? We talked about, you heard about PRP?
PRP?
A little bit.
Platelets, rich plasma.
Tell us a little bit about that.
They talk about that even before in Canada, the treatment started.
Oh.
Yeah, I learned about that. Let me think, about 2000.
So there was some there was a lot of innovation and things that you would learn that were much ahead of the time of London, Ontario, that you would bring back. And sorry, I know we're kind of jumping around, but like, how was that? So you would go to these incredible conferences with all this knowledge, kind of ahead of its time, come back to London, Ontario, Canada, a little Sleepy Hollow city. How was it received here? Like, did you almost have to just kind of pull back a little bit and say, look, I can't bring all this knowledge and overwhelm people. I need to slowly.
Yes. So it's why I have medical director. Is one of the doctors, right, work together, and we threw them to educate the clients. To them, it's patients. To me, it's client. Give them, educate the clients, the information, give them the knowledges. But people are still kind of scared. I think I found in Canada, if you want it, if you have the cut it. But people is more conservative. In Canada about the treatment.
I think this is good. I think it's important for us to explore that, because people are doing business all over the world, right? What are the differences in terms of the nuances of business, in terms of cultures, right, that exist, and why certain businesses thrive in some areas of the world and they don't in other areas. I think it's a great point that you bring up. I really do. I think Canadians are conservative, and when it comes to business, I think that there are ways that you need to push through.
Even they talk about CBD treatment, like 2017, before the Canada, Canadian legalized marijuana, right? So back then was just the knowledge you really want to share, but I can't.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? Just like really holding it.
Did you ever think of moving shop and like heading to the U.S. because it would have been an easier journey? Did that ever cross your mind?
I think the process a little bit too complicated. So it's why I decided to stay in Canada.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's.
I like Canada better anyway.
Yeah. It's okay. I don't think many Americans are listening. Maybe some. And I think this speaks a lot to you as someone that is a leader in the industry, at least in our area that I've seen anyways, that you bring all of this knowledge and expertise to a city like London. And we're very lucky to have people like you in our city. People, yourself, Scott and I have had the privilege of interviewing many already through this podcast of very innovative thinkers. And it just helps our city and it helps our business community grow as you bring this knowledge. I mean, not everyone can afford to go to Vegas to a conference as much as we would love to, but you're going and representing London and bringing that knowledge back.
And I think that's the takeaway, hopefully, for a few folks out there is find something related to your field, and maybe even something outside of your field, a conference outside of your field. It's putting you even further outside of your comfort zone to meet with, network with folks who maybe see things and think about things a little bit differently. But I think it's probably a piece that's overlooked in a lot of businesses, at least initially, is how valuable some of those conferences can be. You got to spend the money to get there, which is a barrier, right? Flight, maybe. Hotel, maybe. Are you a sponsor? Like, do you set up a booth? Do you take up room on the trade show floor?
Right.
That's not cheap. So where do you how do you get involved? Like for you, so did you just go as an attendee? Did you
just go attendee or, work with a vendor, like a volunteer work on their booth.
Oh, that's smart.
So
Okay.
give me a chance
That's
to,
an idea.
That is a
give
great
me a
idea.
chance to kind of interact with other
That is brilliant, actually.
vendors. Yeah.
So imagine that.
Yeah.
Volunteering your time,
Yes.
like not being in it for trying to collect some coin, but humble enough to say, you know what, I'm gonna give up my time right alongside of a vendor here that's got a booth on the floor and just observe, learn,
Be
network.
front line.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Smart. So did you find that was a big benefit? You got a lot more out of
Yes,
that.
it is. Right, you look
Yeah.
at other people because the booth on the floor, you always go in there probably 1 or 2 days before the show started.
Right.
So there's a good chance to see who is there.
Yeah.
My sneaky way.
Smart.
Yeah,
I
who
think
is
that's
there way,
brilliant.
and even have a chance to talk to them, learn. But people there, they set up booths. They are tired. They don't mind to chat a little bit, right? You buy them coffees, and you learn just by that. The conversations with them, you learn lots of stuff.
Wow. Yeah, no, I mean, that's great. And I, Scott and I have been to a lot of conferences. I've never even thought about that. So I think that's
And
smart.
one thing in Toronto, like for just the aesthetics show, like in Toronto, usually it's around April and May in Toronto Convention Center. I always encourage the estheticians go there, attend usually Sunday and Monday.
Nice.
And spend even one day, go through the show, even lots, programs aside, just attend that.
Like workshops,
Workshops, yes.
stuff like that
Yes.
during like some of the programming
Yes,
as part
and
of the
this-
conference.
Sacrifice 1 week, one weekend.
Yeah.
Everybody should be able
It's
to afford
probably
that.
worth it.
Yeah, worth it.
it's
Yes,
worth
and
it.
this the tickets only like $50. Really
Well,
worth it.
Definitely. That's a good ROI.
And in
Definitely.
my day job, right, I sell software and consulting with the public sector, and I started with this gig in January, and a lot of time spent on the phones. Right, I was fortunate enough to inherit a territory, so there's some friendlies there, some clients, and some warm leads, if you will. But I didn't get to my first conference until September. That's not true. I went to one in April. It was a bit of a bust. But I went to one in September. And I'm telling you, man, I really wish I would have had that same opportunity earlier in the year. The networking, the opportunity to have a personal face-to-face conversation with somebody. Maybe who I'd have a conversation on a phone or on a Zoom call or Meets call or something like that. The value of actually just sitting down in front of someone, not even talking business, like just having a beverage and shooting the shit. And then there was a conference right after that again, same thing. Like my plate right now, just as a result of a conference in September and October, it's dramatically different than what it was in July and August, for example.
Yeah.
And there is just so much value in getting out there and mixing up with even vendors. Maybe they're competitors, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Maybe,
exactly.
Right? They're not maybe not a direct competitor, but you're in the same space. It's so nice to have friendlies out there, and it can make such a huge difference. So if you've been out there thinking about checking something out, like get on the internet, poke around, ask around.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Somebody might talk about some obscure little conference that's maybe not the big one at the convention center, but there's stuff out there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the worst they just say no. They ignore you. That's it. Not big deal, really, right?
Yeah. The Scott, you talk about competitors and competition. The one thing, Lily, about you that I've seen is that you speak very highly. Like, you're not one out there, and I know the space you're in is very cutthroat. But you're always one out there that is speaking well about your competitors. And in fact, I've actually seen you and heard you refer people to some of your competitors, and I've always admired that about you. Can you talk about that a little bit in terms of, and I'm guilty of this, of being like, winning attitude, right? I got to be the best and whatever, but that's not always the case. I mean, I own a marketing business. We're great at a lot of things. We're not the best at everything. There could be another marketer or another marketing agency that can serve a client better than us. And that comes from experience and understanding. Is that something that you learned along the way, or is that just inherently part of who you are,
I think both.
Yeah.
Because I always believe spa always there have one best treatment. Mm-hmm. Not you cannot be good about every treatment or
so
every service.
Yes,
we
one
specific. Specific.
Yeah.
One or two. And then rest, if other spa they are better than me in that treatment, I would recommend my client go there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's incredible. I've seen it happen firsthand. I was just blown away.
Yeah, because if spa is good about everything, it means they are not good about anything.
Well,
that's my attitude.
Not specialized or an expert in everything. Mm-hmm. So again, and this keeps coming up. It's the ego, right? You're able to check the ego at the door. You're humble enough to admit that maybe in this specific treatment we aren't the best, and you're putting the client first. And you're saying, you know what? Like, go see my colleague because you're in the space, but essentially a competitor, because based on what you're needing and the treatment that I recommend, you're probably better off to go visit down the street.
Yeah, especially the treatment, not cheap, right? I mean,
right.
The client, they want to spend their money worth every penny.
Yeah.
So to me, in the business, this industry, we are not competitors. We share informations.
You're on the same mission.
Yeah, we're on the same mission.
I love that. But the problem is that not everyone thinks that way. You know what I mean? So that must constantly be an uphill battle, I'm sure. But you know what? And I know you're almost a leader in that space and a leader in that mindset, and almost a mentor to other, younger business owners in that space. Be like, look, this is how we do things in this industry. We support each other. We do what's best for the client. And I think that's super valuable. I think every industry needs more people like you, right? Experience that can actually say, like, this is how we represent ourselves in every industry as
bad actors,
crappy people, and then people that want to collaborate. But I do think it's very challenging for business owners, A, to check the ego, Scott, like you said, but B, to really admit that you don't have all the answers.
No, I don't. Yeah, it's why I have to be humble enough. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have to be humble. Otherwise, you just know enough to be dangerous. It's that you have to think about benefit of the clients. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's my attitude.
So where did you learn that? Where did you learn to be humble enough to recognize some of those shortcomings? Like, is that natural? Can you think of a time in your life where that kind of clicked and you had that realization?
I think just when I see other business, especially, like I learned a very weird way from the one point was large Groupon. You know what I mean? Like the
Groupon.
Groupon.
Oh yeah,
Right?
I remember the Groupon.
Groupon, right? Just like to
phase.
kill the business because people just sell for dirt cheap.
Pennies.
Right.
Pennies.
Yeah,
I almost
pennies.
forget. Is that still around?
I think so.
I think it's still
I
around.
almost
yes.
forgot about
Yes,
that.
Yes.
That really came on
Strong.
Yes.
Several
yes.
years
And you
ago.
and you think that killed the business?
Oh,
just
yeah,
'cause the
killed
value,
business.
You're almost bastardizing the value of the services you're providing.
Yes,
So
and
that
misleading. You misleading misleading
bait and
the
switch.
yes. And then I take that. Then I take lots. The client actually got damaged from the treatment, and they come to my my spa to correct the problem caused
by somebody going to
Yes.
another
Yes.
spot that had
Yes.
bad actors, and we're just
Yes.
just trying to print the money
Yeah.
without the
Interesting.
client focus on the front.
Yeah.
Now, you said you started in Taiwan. We've had a guest who's immigrated from another country and whose family had a roller coaster of a journey to get to Canada. And do you think just like is it humble beginnings where now you come to Canada, you see maybe opportunity that you didn't have before? Is that where? Because again, I try to think back and reflect. Okay, well, I feel like I'm somewhat humble. I've been humbled a number of times, which is kind of given me that shift maybe in perspective. Was there something specific that humbled you, whether it's before you came to Canada, while you were still in Taiwan? Has it been a number of things that have humbled you? Like I don't think it's necessarily in our nature, especially when it's a business and we're trying to pretend that we
have all the answers.
We have all the answers, right? Mm-hmm. Like, so can you think of where that comes from?
Let me think about that. I think just gradually, your life experience and your age. We're getting older, and just all the combinations of life experience make you more humble, and especially be a parent. And you have to be a parent. I have to be an example of to my kid.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not just about you anymore. It's about, you have someone else that's looking up to you.
Yes.
That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. The life experience. Yeah, that would make sense. That makes sense to me, right? Because like I said, there's been a number of times where I've been humbled, and when I was 22, I was a lot probably less humble.
Oh, we're all cocky at one point, right?
Right?
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
You think you got all the answers, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, we think we thought we know everything when we were younger.
Yeah. Isn't that
And then
Right.
now we look back
Funny,
and we
huh?
realize we knew nothing.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
I was at the rink last night, and I get a text, and I'm getting to go to the rink. It's just from my oldest, and then I get
Scott's
a call.
got 3 boys,
Yeah.
and they're all in sports.
Then I get
Hockey, right?
Yeah.
Then I get a call. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm not on the ice yet for a few minutes. I should probably answer this, right? My wife's at work, so I know he's home alone. I'm like, hey, man, what's up? He's like, well, my buddy's coming over. We got to pump up the tires on his bike. I don't know how to get the compressor. Isn't there another attachment? And I'm like, yeah, there is for sure. I'm like, where are you? He's like, I'm in the garage. I'm like, are you standing in front of the cabinets? He's like, yeah. I'm like, right on the very top of the cabinets is the attachment for the compressor so you can pump up the tires on your bike. And he's like, quiet. I'm like, do you see it? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, okay, well, there's a gauge on it. It's blue. There's a little trigger where you'd pull the trigger to pump the air. There's a hose on the end, and then there's a connector that goes into the compressor hose. And he's quiet. I'm like, dude. He's like, what? I'm like, did you find it? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? I'm like, all right, FaceTime me.
Yes.
So he FaceTimes me. He's holding it. I'm like, dude, that's exactly. He's like, well, I didn't know what a gauge was. I'm like, oh. So I'm like, buddy, yes, that's it. That is it. Like, I don't know how I could have described it any differently.
Right.
How did you not know? And of course,
Right.
you know, he's 13. I'll cut him some slack. But it's like, blows my mind. And then I get off the ice, and both my two youngest practice back to back. So 2 hours later, I've got 4 missed calls and 17 text messages. He's like, Dad, answer, Dad. So he can't figure it out. He just couldn't figure it out, but it wasn't really a major issue for me. I get home and I'm like, did you figure it out? He's like, no. I'm like, all right.
After all
I'm like,
that.
do you want to go see how easy this is? He's like, sure. So I clip on he's like, how'd you do that? And I take it off. He goes, how'd you do that? But it just shows, like, for these kids, something that would be intuitive for me is not very intuitive for him. Like at all.
Yeah. And there's a lot of younger entrepreneurs, right, coming up through the ranks who also have different tools than what even the three of us had as business owners. And really this generation of just needing the steps from, you know, A to Z, but then also navigating through a phone and these devices so quickly. It's just, they're just wired differently, right? And not to make this a demographic thing or whatever, but they're just that we just have to understand there's a lot of younger entrepreneurs and business owners coming up who
I mean, because
figured out
their tools that they have are natural to them, right? Like the internet, when I was like 8, like my middle boy, internet wasn't a thing.
Right.
It wasn't a commercial thing anyway.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until probably grade 8 or grade 9 when, like, you know, dial-up internet, and I had like 2 buddies who had the internet, right? And you know, for any of our younger listeners, that was when you couldn't talk on the phone at the same time as you're on the internet. And cell phones weren't a thing.
Yahoo.
Yeah.
Right? That annoying sound. So there are of course things that are very much more intuitive to some of these folks that are you know in a younger generation. But I think there's some things that we can learn from them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Too. So
100%.
there's your humble pie again.
Yeah.
Is recognizing that you know, we need guys like Alex to take care of some of this stuff behind the scenes, because it's beyond me.
Yeah, exactly. Same as my industry, right?
Yeah.
You learn from younger generations so much. We learn from each other.
You have to have that mindset. Lily, I'm curious about, you know, just to kind of backtrack again, you know, you started a brick and mortar spa. I guess prior to even probably social media and having a lot of these tools of becoming discoverable. We talk about being discoverable as a business, right? And how you can literally start a business on Instagram and be discoverable through a viral video and that sort of thing. Take us back a little bit when, you know, you open a brick and mortar business. Obviously location has a lot to do with it, but how did you find clients? How did you make your business discoverable? Was it you going out? Were you getting interviewed on like Rogers TV or things like that? Or like, how did you do that? And then now obviously, you know, you have extended your business into, you know, products, into virtual consultant, which we'll talk about. But can you explain your journey or some of the ways that you became so successful that way?
Yeah, because I have like 18 years the experience in the medical aesthetics, and I use my knowledge to make sure I do a good job. A good job. So first was word of mouth. The clients recommend to their friends, then friends to friends, right? And after that, when this industry getting more crowded, then that's not good enough. So find a good marketing company for you. That's important.
Right.
Marketing just very important. And lots of people, young generation, they can do their marketing. But somehow just not my scope. So it's why
Yeah.
find a yeah.
Well,
Wow,
I mean,
interesting
yeah.
segue. I'm sure Ryan's going to thank you for that.
Yeah,
This isn't
definitely.
a paid. This is
No. I appreciate
Now
that.
you
but-
did mention some of these younger folks can do their own, quote unquote, called marketing, and you mentioned the virtual consultant. We talked about educating. Like education is a big part of
Yes.
building value for your business and attracting new clients. There's literally like this influencer model, and we haven't really gotten too much into that on this show. But if you can provide content that's valuable, that's maybe interesting, maybe there's some humor, maybe there's just something unique about the way you do it, and all of a sudden, you have 10, 15, 20,000 followers across, a couple different platforms like TikTok or Insta or whatever. Now, all of a sudden, you have a captive audience, maybe even without a business. And when you launch a product or a service, people already know you, they like you, they trust you. So have you experienced some of that? Or like do you when you talk about marketing, like do you think about that influencer style at all?
That's part is kind of the dangerous to
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's very dangerous because my experience, I have people call me, about the questions, and they want, because I'm consulting, right?
Yeah.
Consulting business, and so, but then they will try to compare me with my answer to the influencer. And somehow influencer not necessarily know. Sometimes can provide lots of wrong informations.
Right, because people say shit for the attention and the eyeballs and the likes.
Yes.
Not necessarily for providing the most accurate, medically backed research, right?
Point.
Yes, exactly.
I
Exactly.
get, so in this space, I think that could be very dangerous. Right?
I'm glad you brought that up. Actually, I hadn't thought about that, but I know, especially in Lily's space. And I mean, don't like we've had, with your marketing, we have had these conversations, right? About like, how do we position Lily as an influencer? Well, is influencer the right word, or it's more of kind of an industry leader, or someone that's an industry expert, right? So yeah, it's an interesting thing where it's like influencer. What is influencer? Yeah,
Exactly.
Or is it someone with 20 million views and they're just feeding you garbage, or is it someone that's providing extreme value without caring about the followers and the likes and all the vanity metrics is what we call them.
Well, yeah, and I think there's a key phrase, the vanity metrics.
Yeah.
Because would you rather have, 1 million followers where 998,000 of them are random because they laughed at a video you shared? Or would you rather have, 2,000 people who know you well, who believe you're providing value and are actually interested in learning more about what you have to offer, right? There's kind of two ends of the spectrum there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
One thing about good use of social media is, like when my business, like when I do a consultation one-on-one, like the maximum I only can do 10 a day,
Yeah.
right? Because each person I do like 45 minutes with them, right? So, but when you do the social media, you can share your knowledge with, like, can be thousands of people,
True.
right?
Yep.
In 1 hour, right? You can provide so much. You can share so much information with people. That's the benefits of the
Scale.
yeah.
So so where's your school of thought on those two scenarios? Because the one-on-one is now a personalized experience, right? It's more about the individual. I think on the scale side, if you're speaking to a large audience, you lose that personal touch. But can you still bring value at scale, like on a Instagram Live, for example, where the information you're sharing is of value. It's backed by research from some experts in the field. Is there a blend of both for you?
Yeah, I think the combination together, right, can provide the good value.
Right.
Value, because just one-on-one sometimes, depends if you have an appointment, next to client, like they want more questions, you cannot provide more. They have to make another appointment. And so I like, social media idea. Actually works better. Yeah.
Yeah. It's good to hear you say that, because social media does get a bad rap sometimes, but
depends how you use the tool, right?
You took the words right out of my mouth. It is, if you treat it like a tool in business, it can be very powerful, and it can be a good way to tell your story from a brand point of view, especially yourself as a personal brand, right? And then extend your personal brand into more of a household brand sort of thing. LS Anti-Aging, your virtual business of connecting with clients virtually and consulting and that sort of thing. Very smart how you kind of transition that into this kind of virtual space, because I think that from a monetary point of view, you can really monetize this. You saw a lot of people doing this with their business through COVID and that sort of thing, but then having a sustainability factor of where you can have a client across the globe. You don't have to have someone right here in London, Ontario, that sort of thing. Take us through that business of yours and how that works. Like if I'm going to book a call with you, you're going to spend 45 minutes with me. What are we talking about in terms of like skincare? Are you really understanding what my routine is now? Or maybe I just don't even have a skincare routine. What's that business built on as you grow that?
First, when I started is, excuse me, when people book with me and we do the like a Zoom consulting. So, of course, I have camera, right? I can see people exactly what they look like,
right,
and what the condition they have. So, and I add the other thing is a medical chart. I want to know what they worry about, know their concern first, and then the medication they're taking, and what's their job. Right, and from there, I can know, easy for me to analyze. I cannot do diagnosis, so because I'm not a doctor.
No, but
I can analyze what caused that. I have one client before. He is sweating like crazy because we did the hyperhidrosis, for the oversweating.
Okay,
and realized he's working in the kitchen, and he has rosacea. That's the worst job he can have the skin condition have.
Rosacea?
Rosacea, yes. There's like a redness, the broken capillaries.
I get it a little bit. I'm a rosy. Yeah, I've always been a bit of a rosy guy.
Yeah, but you're not working in a kitchen.
No, but when I was in kitchens selling groceries.
Oh, right. You were in that industry.
I had a small hand towel for my briefcase. I had a towel in my car.
Interesting.
Now, I was fortunate. I've shed a few pounds. I'm not as heavy as I was back in those days, so that's probably helped. But I'm still a pretty sweaty guy. So I don't know. Maybe rosacea is a thing for me.
Maybe, but
yeah, you do have a little bit. Yeah.
It's great.
Because
free consult,
free consultation. But the fact that you're actually asking, what do you do for work, would never cross my mind in terms of if I'm going to have a conversation with somebody about skincare, anti-aging. Why are you asking? You're definitely going deep.
Yeah, I go deep because another case I had was one of my clients. She was a model and actress and a beautiful girl. And she came to me. Her mom took her because she was under 16, and her mom took her to see me. Beautiful face, but was her face was break out like a crazy. And I realized, okay, she did the modeling in the makeup room, and the makeup artist used the same brush for everybody.
Oh, okay, yeah. So there you go.
Subtle,
So yeah, little.
like find,
Yeah,
just
so
because you asked a couple questions.
Yeah, I just say, okay, I can, just bring
Bring your own brush
set.
brushes. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And did
And
that solve the problem?
A small
Solve the problem.
Oh my god,
And
Wow.
Yeah.
another client,
that's amazing.
Another client actually, he's a private investigator, and then he was sitting in the car all the time, so he has like a blemish all over, and his forehead, because he was wearing the hat, the cap all the time.
Yeah.
So another
Interesting.
question that find out how to
Yeah.
how to work on his problem.
Yeah.
It shows that you care about solving it too. You're not
Right.
just in it to collect the paycheck,
I love problem solving.
right? There's some reward in that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes just take a few minutes, or a few seconds to ask one or two more questions. Even for the medication they take can cause lots, lots issues too.
Oh yeah, you see those commercials and the side effects. It's like
Yes.
it's like the 30-second commercial's got 20 seconds worth of like side effects in
Yeah.
rapid fire, right? It's
Yeah.
like, good Lord, like
Yeah.
why? So there you go. Something
Yeah.
very, very simple.
Well, it's asking the questions, right, and not being afraid to ask those questions. But one simple question can take you in a completely different direction, right? And as business owners, do we ask enough questions? Perhaps not, because we have an ego. We think we have all the answers. We're conditioned to not ask questions because we think, there's this whole slippery slope, right? But the ones who, like yourself, Lily, who can really ask those questions could potentially just unlock so much from a client relationship point of view.
Be thoughtful and deeper, right? Like try to dig a little deeper and you'll probably find you'll learn a little bit more and put you in almost a position to bring more value than you would have if you didn't get beneath the surface.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I know we're running out of time, Lily, and you're a busy lady, and we appreciate your time definitely coming in and doing this with us. I love your philosophy of health and skincare from a holistic point of view. Even your tagline, "Beauty without filters," says so much. Obviously we're conditioned to see filtered photos and everything. I mean, you just never even know. Is it a real photo or a photo with a filter? I mean,
No, with AI, it's
with
really
AI,
scary.
right?
Yeah.
Like,
harder.
I mean, yeah, it's crazy, and all the more reason that we need people like you to really dive deep into the real, the real solutions, right? I mean, if I'm going to see somebody on Instagram and they have perfect skin and meet them in reality, and I mean, I'm not a skin expert, but maybe they have dry skin or whatever. I'm going to be like, there's
Something
a huge
doesn't match.
huge disconnect there. So I think that the transparency is really key with everything you've done. You definitely you've got a product base as well. So you've entered into a lot of different areas of business that I think a lot of people would be very curious to learn more about. Where can we find you and your businesses, and where can people look for you if they want skincare advice and anti-aging advice and that sort of thing?
Actually, they can go to my website, the
LS
anti-aging
Yep.
consulting.com.
Nice. Yeah, perfect. And then find you online,
Yes.
social media, that sort of thing. You provide great value
And
through
follow me
socials.
with-
Yeah,
at
yeah. Let's
Instagram
get those
and,
follows
yeah.
going for sure. And but no, it's really great to have you on. I know we could have talked for probably another hour, and maybe that's a part 2 episode, definitely. But Yeah, I really appreciate you you coming on. I mean, what would you say, I guess, for a younger, not even a younger, but someone that wants to get into this industry of anti-aging, beauty consulting, that sort of thing, you know?
Really invest. You have to do some investments to yourself, right? To learn more, not just in the just keep learning.
Yeah.
Keep learning.
Always be learning. Scott,
Yes.
you say
That's
that.
it. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're through conferences, networking, the things that we
Yes.
taled about today. I agree
Vegas
with
is
that.
not as expensive you
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah, the hotels
I
are
mean,
cheaper
I
than
won't
there.
Hotel
be
much
going to-
cheaper. Yeah, you don't
Yeah.
have to really
Yeah.
stay in the hotel the conference being held at,
Yeah.
right? Because lots of cheaper
Options.
The options. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely surround yourself with good people.
Well, thanks,
Yes.
Lily.
Yeah.
This was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank
absolutely.
you. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Thank
no,
you.
it was
Ours.
great for sure. Definitely. Well, be well and continued success.
Thank
Might see you
you.
for part 2. Okay,
Thank
great.
you. That's a
wrap. Let's
Excellent.
go.
Yeah, good
Cheers.
stuff.
Pleasure.
Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers.
All right. Another great episode. Thanks for joining us. Please support our podcast. By supporting us, you can go to YouTube, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, go to our website, hustleandgrindpod.com. That way you can go and you can apply to be a guest. Listen to us anywhere that you listen to your podcast, Spotify, Apple, all the channels. But we really appreciate your support. Keep listening. We have a lot of great episodes and a lot of great guests ready to go. We're going to keep coming hard at you here and digging into the hustle and grind of what it takes to be an entrepreneur and a business owner.